Welcome to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I'm Danielle D, or Coach Danni D, and I help women to create luxury brands by creating processes and tightening their branding. This is where we talk about how to build your business in a way that allows you to work with ease and enjoy your life. My happy space is spending as much time as humanly possible in my pajamas, and I want to help others to find their happy space while still running profitable businesses. So get comfortable and let's dig in. Hello and welcome to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I am your host, Coach Danni D, always here helping women, entrepreneurs, leaders, professionals to find that space of work-life balance where you have holistic success. So I am so excited to have my guest here today. I have Nisla Love. And she is here, and we're going to talk about some of this money stuff, right? Because we want to, cross over some of these things. Sometimes we want to make the money, but we don't want to think about the money, right? So Miss Love is licensed by the IRS as an enrolled agent who specializes in all things taxes and has the ability to help clients in all 50 states and abroad. So everybody listening in the listening audience, she is able to help you. She has over 15 years of experience in tax preparation and tax planning for individuals and small business owners. I said it wrong this time, right?
It's okay.
Nisla. Y'all, I'm serious about names. Nisla also has her master's degree in accounting and taxation. She has worked in private and government sectors for over 15 years, and she is the CEO of Choose Love Solutions, an accounting firm that helps small businesses build wealth while playing by the rules of the IRS. Because we don't want Uncle Sam to ever,
Mm-mm.
ever
No, you don't.
knocking at our door.
Whew.
She is
Yeah.
passionate about seeing her clients succeed in their business, and she promotes financial wellness by teaching clients how to build wealth through tax planning. She provides personalized services to fit her clients' needs, and she thrives on delivering updated tax information to her clients. All right. Welcome,
Thank
welcome, welcome,
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
And we are, nearing that time of year, of tax season. So this is absolutely right on time. I want to start off. One of my favorite questions to ask is to tell me about your entrepreneurial journey, because I love the story behind the story.
Okay, where should I begin? Oh my gosh. I always wanted, just thinking back, I always wanted to do something bigger than life. When I was little, things like, what do you want to be? I want to be a doctor. But as you get older, you're like, that's a lot of work. I don't want to do that. So I knew I wanted to have something of my own. And so I actually went to college to be a psychologist. I was like, oh, that's so cool. Study the mind, can help people, still helping people, still working with the mind. And so I did that for 2 years. I was like, oh, I'm bored. So I joined the military. So I joined the military. Um, it was a wonderful experience. I met my husband. I got out, and then I was like, I want to go back to school. So me going back to school, being a mom, I was like, you know what? I want to be a physical therapist. So still trying to help people.
Right.
So because we moved all so many places, and so we moved to Virginia, and I was like, yes, they had a program. I went to the school, and I was like, I'm going to sign up for it. And they was like, oh, the program we discontinue it isn't. They had another campus, and at that time there wasn't the ability of online. There wasn't the ability of we're gonna get you over there. We just moved there, and so it was like a one-car situation, and my husband was in the military, so that was like a no, couldn't do that. So I was like, no worries. I want to go to school. I'll never forget. My dad was with me, and I would sign up for the classes because I just wanted to go to school because, I want to stay at home mom and I want to do something besides taking care of this child. And the lady was like, I'm not going to take your money. I said, what do you mean you're not going to take your money? She's like, nope, I'm not going to take your money because you're considered out of state and you got to wait. It's going to be like another couple months. I was like so upset. And I remember my dad saying, why are you upset? Because they don't want to take your money? And I was like, but I want to go to school. So I don't even know how I got around it, but I found Strayer. And so Strayer became my hub. I started taking classes in business. I was like, fine, I'll do business. I started liking it, loving it.
Mm,
I took a class in accounting. I wish I could say it was just like, oh, but it wasn't. It was to the point where I was like, man, what is this? Because I had to, when you do accounting, you have to change the way how we learn from school and then how you think about balancing your checkbook. It was like
mhm,
totally different. And so once I had a amazing professor, she helped me lay the foundation. It was like on. And then I took my tax class, and I was
mhm,
like, oh my God, I could save money. I said, oh my goodness. So literally after the class, I amended all my returns, got refunds, and I was hooked. And I was just like, this is easy. I love it. I love the way how we're able to learn
mhm.
and save money and do it, legally. And I was like, everybody doesn't know about this. Why are they don't know about this? And so I just started this thing where I was like, okay, I want to learn more. And not only that, I want to help people so they can save more money and then also give them the opportunity where they could tax plan. So I started that journey by taking a course, which I love because I found that I could save money.
Mhm.
And at one point, I was that person where, just hand over the document and say, do we owe any money? And we
Right.
get it back. And so I didn't even want to know. So I have changed that completely with my clients. And so we're hands on, we're educating and letting them know what they're doing, especially as a small business owner, you are liable. And one of the things we like to say, we are in partner with you because
Mhm.
not only you're liable for this, we're also liable because I'm licensed. And so I take that seriously. And we're not in it to just like to get get money. We want you to be empowered to know what you're actually doing and what you're getting. And I know taxes can be overwhelming, but we make it very fun and very calm and to the point where you're like, okay, I understand. And even if you don't get it the first time, we're gonna help you get it the second time, the third time, the fourth time.
So I got a few things. So one, so I always love knowing people's backstory, right? Because when you know people's backstory, you kind of know like why they enjoy doing what they do. And I really love when I meet people that enjoy doing what they do, no matter what it is. Like, because for some of us, like you say, taxes, and we're like, oh Jesus, Lord. We're not trying to like get
Yeah, I know, I
in
know,
that
I
deep,
know.
but
Yeah.
again, everybody has that thing that they really are into in that way. So I love that. Um Entrepreneurial journeys are never linear.
Mm-mm.
And I want to like just point that out for the listening audience because a lot of times I actually was speaking to somebody this week and they were, struggling with the fact that they like took this left turn and
Mhm.
they ended up not liking the turn and I was reassuring them that's all a part of the process. Like it is. It just is. And like you end up and like you started out going trying to get into a physical therapy program and then you ended up in accounting. Like that's just, it's just amazing to me because that's how it goes sometimes. You put yourself out there and then you find out what
Mhm.
things stick and what things don't. And it's all okay. It doesn't have to be a straight line from I did the thing that I said I was going to do when I was 5.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to put that out there. And I also have a degree in psychology. So
Oh, look at that.
yes.
Okay.
So my grandmother would joke with me, because we would talk every day when I would come home from work. And she would always joke with me. She said, "Well, you didn't pursue that degree in psychology, but them people got you using it every day." So
Yes, yes,
it
yes.
it all the pieces of all the places that you've been in life bring you somewhere.
No, it's true. I mean, I did 2 years of psychiatry. I'm psychologist, and I loved it. But it's just like you said, is you're at a crossroad, and you're just like, okay, I want more. What does that look like? And then for me, it was exploring going into the military, and then not knowing me going into military, I would have met my husband, which we've been married for 27 years, and so
Congratulations.
just that one act of, okay, I want more. And that's just how I am right now. I always want more. And my husband always just, you want more? I said, yes, sky's the limit. God has given us so much. Why not want more? It
Right.
is not, it is not, like a curse or bad that to want more. But yes, I'm
Mm-mm.
content, but I know that there's more for me to have and more for me to do.
No, and that's beautiful. I think that there's always room for growth and expansion, and it's just a matter of belief. Like, if you believe that you can have more, you can have more. I mean, and the beauty of it is, because I think that depending on the listening ear, somebody may hear more and think greed, but when you are in a space of like everything that you said about your journey was tied to helping people. And so the more that you expand, the more people will be
Yeah.
helped. And so sometimes not only should we want more, but it's almost our duty to step into more, because as we expand, others around us expand as well. So I think that that's a beautiful way of looking at things.
And I always have this saying, it's like anything healthy is going to grow. So
Yes.
as you get,
Yes.
and you think about it, like when we were kids and how we had to be taught, we had to be learned, and we're not an island. We People are giving all around helping us, and we're learning and we're absorbing, and we're still growing. So if you're healthy, you're growing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. The other thing that you said I wanted to get back around to, and I love this because this is a part of my philosophy as a coach, as a teacher, um, is that education piece. And
Mm,
is that partnership. I like when you said that, my eyes kind of lit up when you said I'm working as a partner and I'm educating, because I think a lot of times what happens is we have these people that are really just like a service provider and not necessarily that partner. And so stuff is happening, but we don't know what's happening. And so even though, you have somebody handling your accounting or your taxes, you still don't know what's happening. You still haven't really conquered that fear associated with it. Or, like you
right.
said, you make it fun. I mean, because if you sitting up here showing me how I could save money, uh, then it's sounding a little more fun than
Yeah,
paying that big tax bill. But just knowing that we're in it together, because,
right.
I know I've heard of a lot of people having the experience of, they just turning these papers over to somebody, and they're not allowed to ask questions, and not allowed, like it's
Oh
just
my
this
gosh,
weird
yes, yes. It's
experience. And I'm like, you got my money, I got questions. You about to answer
I
these
know, I know. I
questions.
I had clients that they said they just turned the paper in, and then they wait a couple months, and then they get like an email and say you could go and sign it and review it. No, it's not supposed to be like that. You're supposed to know what you're signing, what's it all of. And I do get it that, because before I started doing taxes and, being a tax professional, I was just like, what do you say? It's like Charlie Brown. Wah, 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 wah,
Right,
wah.
right, right.
But one of the things I always encourage clients is ask questions. And if you don't get it the first time, ask again, because regardless of the situation, you are going to be liable. You can't say, so let me just tell you about the IRS. The IRS is, everybody wants it to be like this big bag wolf, but they really want to help you. And so with that, um, you could do but so much and say, my accountant did this, my accountant did this. You are liable. They're going to say, who signed it?
Right.
You signed it. And so with that, you need to know. So one of the things we encourage is like, okay, have a meeting before tax season, like the end of the year, have an end of year assessment, see how the year is going. If the most perfect thing was to do like quarterly, you meet with your tax accounting, your tax specialist quarterly, and just do a check-in. Hey, this is what I'm doing. I have times where individuals will say, oh, I took money out of my 401k. How's that going to impact me? You're going to owe taxes if you didn't take out the necessary taxes, right? Um, they they bought a house. I mean, it's like little things that they don't think to consult with their accountant
Yeah.
until after the fact. And so what we're trying to do is get away from tax is not a one-time event, it's year long. And then also too, if you want to think future, because when we're in business, we want to 5 years, 10 years. I mean, you want to get to the point where you're outside of the business, you're not in the business. And so
Mm-hmm.
that way you can be in a consultant or you could just manage the business. And in order to do that, you have to have a tax strategist, CFO in there so that way they can help you project those things. So if you're thinking, okay, I just got to do my taxes and I do it myself, that's fine for right now. But if you want to think long term, then that's when you have to up your game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it is, strategy is one of my favorite words. And it is being strategic, to, think ahead, think of what the future is going to look like. How can you create this partnership to where, because as an entrepreneur, oftentimes you feel alone in your decision making and what's going on. But if you are leaning on your partnership team, whether
Mm-hmm.
that's your accountant, your lawyer, whoever it is, if you are leaning on that team the way that you should, then you're not making all of these decisions alone, and you're not responsible for trying to make decisions in an area that you're not versed,
It's
because
true.
you
It's true.
know I don't
It's
know sex law. So I mean, I can go out there and I can do something and think that I'm doing something, but I can also consult and know that I'm doing it the right way.
And that's the thing. And I know when you first starting out a business, people are like, well, I'm gonna try to do it myself. And then that's fine. But then you have to get to a point where you gotta you gotta allocate, you know, to people who are specialized in that area. So that's just like me coming to you and say, I want to have an event and I want to do all this stuff. Can you just tell me not do it myself? And you look at me like, no.
Right. Because
You're special. I mean, I could probably do a little something small, but if I want to do something big and grand, I'm going to come to the specialist.
right.
And so it's just like, and so this is one of the things that is about educating. So as a small business owner, you want people to come to you because you specialize in that thing.
Right.
And it's the same thing for every other industry. So, and what I always believe in reciprocal. So whatever you put out will come back. So if
Hmm.
you're hesitated about buying or consulting with a specialist, that same thing is going to come back to you. People are going
Right.
to hesitate and be like, I don't know. And so
And
you have to free yourself from that.
no, absolutely. Because I mean, this is the thing. And I love that you use the example of like an event. People come up to me all the time at events when I'm setting up, and they're like, "Oh my God, I tried to do this for my child's birthday party, and oh my God, it's so hard." And and I had somebody the other day, they're like, and she said, "Oh, my fingers were hurting so bad." And I started asking follow-up questions. I was like, well, what did you do? And how did you do it? And she was like, well, I use the strips. And I was like, uh-huh. Yeah. So look, I don't. And she was like, oh, well, what do you do? No, 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 no,
See
no.
how they try to ease in there and try
No,
to
no,
get your
no.
salt.
And but here's the thing I want to put out there for that free consultation. I mean, it's not, how do I want to say this? It's not as big of a deal, let's say with balloons or something like that. But when we start to get into stuff that is really, really technical,
Yeah, big stuff I'm talking about, like
like,
corporation, big events. That's like 1,500, 600 people.
but
Yeah.
even I'm gonna step out of events and I'm gonna say, like, your taxes, your legal, your contracts and all the stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah.
Everybody wants to try to do it themselves. And here's where you run into problems. You don't know what you're doing. I know people that don't know how to, like, I'm like, you can't do basic math. How are you doing? Like, let's let's start there. Like, and I'm not saying that to be ugly. I'm just saying, like you said, invest in other people that know
Right.
intimately what they're doing. And the people that, because people will go to Facebook and ask a question, them people don't know the answer either. You can only get so much advice from a professional or not without pain.
And I'm glad what you said. So one of the things too, if you have a professional and okay, so it's all about liability because somebody we could do initial consultation and you could ask it, but it's going to be very generalized. Until we become in an agreement and there's a contract, then I can tell you more in detail because it's going to be just generalized because I don't know your situation.
Right.
And then I don't want to provide you something and then you run with it and it's not right. And then you're like, well, you told me that. Then
Right.
now I'm liable for what I said.
Right.
And
Right.
and as a and I'm licensed, and so I have to safeguard that and I have to follow some guidelines to make sure that not only I'm um, being right in right standing with the IRS, and then also too following, I have my insurance, and then there's my credentials that I have to consider, and that's with any professional there, and
Right.
so that's why they always, anytime you hear anything, it's always going to be it depends because every situation is different, and that's one of the things I like about taxes. Just because you have two couples, both married, one has a business, one has another business, there's always going to be something different.
Mm-hmm.
Someone might have investments. Somebody might have kids. Somebody be taking care of their grandparents, their parents. There's always going to be different. It's never going to be the same. There's always, like you said, there's always a story of what happened, how that transpired. So it's never cookie cutter, and that's what I love about it because it's always different.
But yeah, and that's why you need someone who is vested. Because when you're paying someone, when you're in contract with someone, they are vested
Hmm.
in the results. And so like I see people go to Facebook all the time with questions, all different industries asking questions, and people answer this is the thing that I find interesting. People answer their questions without asking follow-up questions, and I'm like, there is not enough information here given
Yeah, you got to
to
be careful with
really
that when you give advice out. You
when to
have.
really, give. I'm like, I got 20 questions just reading this paragraph, and you have 400 answers. And so we have to be careful because a lot of this stuff is big deal stuff. Like I said, I don't want no problem. I don't want no smoke with Uncle Sam. Like, I
Um,
want us to be on good speaking terms. That stuff really, really matters. And you can't just phone it in or go off of what so and so said, and because when you when the IRS come knocking at the door, they ain't worried about what Keisha or Tyrone or Paul said. That's not
mhm.
going to matter.
Right, right. What it was like some of the funny things I've heard. Oh, what I said, there's a lot of misconstrued about, oh, I don't have to file because I don't owe anything. Well, I would counter that with this identity theft. There's identity theft. So if you don't file, somebody might file on your behalf. And the sad thing is they may not owe taxes, but they're filing on your behalf.
Right.
And then you just need that one instance where they're late or they didn't file. And then you get a notice and you like, I never filed. Do you remember when they were giving out stimulus checks and a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
didn't? And people were running back, they were running to go and get to file. Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean, and unfortunately, I'm in New Orleans, so that happened also with Katrina, that happened with the BP oil spill. People didn't have their affairs in order.
mhm,
And then when these, tragedies happened, now, the government's like, okay, I'm trying to help you out.
I track you.
And you ain't got no papers. Or your
Yeah.
papers not legitimately and accurately
Yep.
listing your income. So you saying, oh, I lost, $50,000 during the oil spill because, I had a restaurant and this is what I normally make during this time period. And it's 50. These
Yeah.
these papers say 20. Where where you getting that other 30?
Mhm. Yeah. And so one of the things, the importance of doing taxes is because, if you're a US citizen here or you're legally here and you're paying taxes, you want to file taxes. Now there's different ways, and this is where the strategy comes into place of where you may or may not pay, owe taxes. And if you do pay, it might not be that much. But a lot of people don't realize filing taxes when you want to get a job, they look at that sometimes. Getting a house, they look at that. You want to expand your business, you want to get grants, you want to get investors, they looking at your taxes. They want to make sure that you are in good standing. So these are things that people take for granted. And then my always thing is like, I don't want to show that, I say, I want to show a profit. That's the thing. People want to show a profit, but that's unrealistic. You got to show what is really there. And so, and if you find yourself not making profit, then that's a conversation you need to have with your accountant. So there's some strategies in place. Maybe you're not looking at. No, the first year is understandable. Okay, you may not make a profit, but the point is like every year you're going up. You're scaling up. Even if like one year you didn't make a profit and you're at maybe negative 20,000, like, and then next year is maybe 10,000, then the next year is 5,000. You could see that you're
Right.
moving,
Progressing.
progressing. And if you're not progressing, and then that's a conversation that you need to have with your accountant, your tax specialist, with someone. And you're not alone. So that's the key thing. Maybe there's some things that you just got to tweak, but you won't know if you're doing it by yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanna, and I'm sorry for putting you on the spot, but I want to, if you can touch on the difference in the roles, because I don't think a lot of times people understand that, like there's some people that are bookkeepers and that's all they do. They have people that are accountants and that's something different. And then you have people who prepare taxes. Some people do all of them, some people do a crossover, of a couple of them. But if you could kind of explain the difference in those roles.
Yeah, okay. So a bookkeeper is going to manage your statements. So they're going to manage it. They will consolidate it. They'll make sure everything is up to date. A lot of people don't realize some of the software, like once you connect it to your bank, it has to flow through. Sometimes it's off because, we got the two-step verification. Even with these systems, they talk to each other and then they don't talk to each other. And then you have to go in it. And so when they're not connecting, sometimes it doesn't flow. And so as a bookkeeper, they will make sure that is all consolidated, make sure it's managed. They will reconcile your books. And so that way you can see reports and project. And so that's where the accounting comes in. The accountant will actually, it could be hand in hand. The accountant could be the bookkeeper. The accountant could actually read the reports, read the information to you and tell you what to expect there, what to look, what you're doing now. Tax specialist, CFO, what they're doing is not only they looking now, but they also projecting. They looking future wise and let you know there's a pattern. Are you looking at the pattern? Some, like for events, which month or which quarter is going to be high and which is going to be low. And so there's some strategy in place where they can help you cut costs, how to pay your estimated taxes. So there's things involved that maybe you're not looking. And that's what it's just think of it as another eye on your business to help you give a different perspective that you're not looking at. And so having that accounting or that so you have the accountant that actually looks at now and can file your taxes too. You have the tax strategist where they're strategizing for you not only now but the future. And it goes hand in hand with the CFO. The CFO is going to look over everything. It's going to be able to do forecasting for you. It's going to help manage your books, your finance, cash flow. Those are things that really, really is important as a small business owner. And then so one of the things people are always like, so how, like how much, like how many times should I be concerned about cash flow? How about every day? You look at your account. How
Yeah,
much money I got in there? Every
right.
day you look in there. Some people are like, I don't want to look in there. You need to look in there. So that's
Right.
like,
You need to know. You need to know if you need to go out there and sling some more balloons. You need to know if
yes,
you,
yes.
you have the money to invest in new equipment or, you need to know.
Yeah. And then you could do an audit because that's one of the things I always encourage clients do an audit. Okay. So okay, seasonal. So the holidays, everybody's like, oh, I want to have a party. So you like I'm having parties and all this stuff. So you're looking at your expense. So your expense is like, oh, okay, this is good. Now what happened in January? Everybody like, I'm not doing no party. I'm going to the
Right.
gym. I'm going to the gym. So now you got to look at your expenses that you maybe are reoccurring, and then you got to say, okay, do I really need this,
Right. Right.
or can I pause it, or can I switch it out for something else? And that's what you need to do. That's part of your cash flow. And that's just one part of your cash flow. I don't want to say that's all of it, but that's part of it where you're looking at, what's working, what's not working. And you want to make sure that you have, like you have the money so you can stay in business.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, because that cash flow, the I get most of my jobs paid up front, but some corporate don't do, they're on a different schedule. You have to be able to be, flexible. If you get that big client, are you able to service that big client, if they are a net 30?
Mm-hmm.
That's all, depends on what your cash flow situation is looking like. Um, you mentioned earlier, and I want to just come back to this because I do feel like a lot of times, sadly, there are service providers who are not partners and are not open. Um, and people just have accepted that kind of as the norm. But, one of the things you said was, ask questions. What are some, because sometimes people don't know what they don't know. And so they don't know what the question is to ask, or if the question sounds dumb or, whatever. What are some of the common questions that you could think of that, like, if you are working with somebody, bookkeeper, accountant, tax preparer, that you should be asking?
That's a very good question. So what would you do? Okay, so first thing up, you want to make sure that because you're handing over your information with them. So you want to be comfortable with them. You want to have a relationship with them. That's straightforward. You want to have a relationship with them. You want to be able to say, can I have this conversation with them and let them know that, hey, I didn't pay my taxes and are they going to make me feel bad? You got to have that relationship. So that's just straight up So it's just like you meet somebody, do I need to, is this somebody I could talk to, relate to, feel comfortable with? And then also too, so you ask them, what is the process? What is your process with taxes? Like if you come with us, we're gonna have a meeting with you because we want to make sure it's a good fit. And so you ask us like, what is the process? So we'll tell you what the process is doing the taxes. And then we'll look at, hopefully we'll ask you questions about your life and stuff like that. And then you have opportunity to access, one of the things, you can always look up your tax professional. You can look them up. Like for myself, you can look me up on our EA National Associated Enrolled Agents. You look at IRS. You want to be able to look up your accountant. So of course, everybody goes on Google and they look at the review. But at the end of the day, you need to have that relationship with your accountant or your bookkeeper. So you're going to ask questions, ask what the process is. Everybody always want to know like how much it's going to cost. So okay, cost sometime if the value is there, then caution should be an option. What kind of services are they going to give you? Are you able to come back to them and ask additional questions? Because I believe there's no stupid question. There really isn't. It's just, there was just maybe a lack of communication because,
Mm-hmm.
again, you don't know what you don't know. And then, so if you heard something, I mean, I had individuals, they said they saw something on social media, they spoke to their family member, they saw something on TV, and then they asked me, and then we'll break it down. So with us, we're not going to just pull stuff from the sky. We're going to actually give you content from the IRS. And so
Right.
we're always going to follow up with that. And so that's one of the things that you want to do. Now, if someone says, they ask you, and you tell them, like, I always owe. Well, we're gonna fix that. You never owe. Okay, you better be like, what you mean?
Right. Right. Because look,
What you mean? I ain't gonna owe. I
I'm
would
not
never
going to
tell
look,
nobody
I'm
that.
not going to the jailhouse. Like, let's just be clear. I'm not going to the jailhouse. So if you're giving me that, like, scammer vibe, then I'm like,
I
I
mean, I had
understand I
people
don't want to
said,
owe, but at the
I
same time,
know.
I'd rather pay than
uh,
than have to go into the orange suit. I don't want it.
I mean, I had people say, well, I had to, like I don't want to owe anything, and so can you check it to make sure? And I'm like, okay, we're gonna look at your taxes, but if you owe, you owe, and then we can look at ways of making sure that you don't owe next year. We help
Right.
you make adjustments and stuff like that, and just being upfront with them to let them know that I don't have a wand.
Right. Right. That
I have
wine will land
seen
you in the jailhouse.
I have seen where some um what do we call it, proprietors, ghost tax filers, where somebody would do their tax on their return but they won't sign it, and that's what we're calling ghost preparers. Yeah, ghost preparers, that's what we call them, because whenever anybody signs and do your tax return, they have to sign and put their PTN number. It's required by law if you are paying them. I want to say that if you are
Yeah.
paying. If that's not the case, I would be very skeptical about that service. I had clients where they came to me and they said, yes, I paid someone to do my return. And then I looked at it and it said self-prepared, but they never did it. And they didn't know anything about it. And so we had to go back and, make some adjustments. And sometimes we had to amend. Um, so with that situation, I would just, you know, I would say go with your gut, ask questions. Is this the person that you could have a conversation with? Because at the end of the day, we're going to be talking about your taxes, your income, your expenses, giving you strategy. So it's a relationship, because you're telling us stuff that you wouldn't tell nobody down the street. Like, girl, I didn't pay my taxes last year.
Right, right. I mean,
They
you
gonna look at you
bringing
like,
them.
what?
It is an intimate relationship.
It
It's an
is. It
intimate
is.
relationship. We on a previous episode we had Crystalline Shelton, and she's a QuickBooks top pro, and we similar conversation. It's an
Yes,
intimate relationship,
it
but
is. It is.
at the same time, I want to, like put out there, because sometimes because of that, because of shame behind
It's no
what it
shame.
looks like, people will not reach out for help because they're embarrassed of what it looks like. And my response to that is, regardless of what it looks like, they seen it all before.
Yeah.
They seen it
Um,
all before and they want to help. That, like, I'm not saying all people. I'm
yeah,
talking about the people, I vet the people that come on this platform, and I'm talking
right.
about it's a spirit thing, I'm talking about these people. I'm talking about Miss Love. She is here for you,
Yeah.
to help you. And so whatever it looks like, don't feel like you can't open up
Yeah.
about it. It might be emotional in that first moment of having to admit that it's the way that it is, right? That might be emotional for you. But when you're
Yeah.
in safe space, know that you can put it out there.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
can
there's
put
a
it out
lot of reasons people don't file their taxes. I mean, gosh, we had a plethora of people. And the thing is, like, so you haven't filed your taxes maybe 5 years, 10 years. Just start now.
right.
Start right now, because there's a lot of benefits that and I so the thing is, you want to file within the last 3 years of it, because if you don't, you lose out on money that you could have. I had a client where he lost out on money because he didn't file, but he had to file because he wants to get a house. And again, they look at your taxes. And so doesn't matter where you're at. Once you know that when you're ready, just do it. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Just do
Yeah.
it. Just do it.
Yeah.
There's no shame in it. There really is no.
No, no, it's really not. I mean, I'm gonna say it like this. There's no shame in it from the outside. It's all in you.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
inside. You're holding on to whatever it is that got you to this point. But I
Right.
implore you to release it because it's had power over you for too long.
Yeah.
Just
Understood.
release it, correct it, and let's move forward.
Hmm.
And we're not going to, sentence ourselves to, to life without parole behind
It's not.
something that, happens to all of us at some time. So just release it and correct it and find, someone that is going to work with you. And the other thing that I wanted to, like, that you said a few minutes ago, that I wanted, you didn't say, but this is what came to my mind when you said it. You said, I start off with the, a conversation. We get to know each other. We get to figure out if we're a fit. Every provider that I've had come sit on this show has an onboarding process.
Hmm.
Everyone. Those are the types of people that you want to work with because their businesses are set up thoughtfully.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They not just out here just, trying to collect payments. Their businesses are set up thoughtfully. And that thought process, like the two things that I often look for when I'm looking for a service provider is there an onboarding process, and are they, off put when I ask questions? Because those are the
Hmm.
two, red flags for me. Because if there's no, it doesn't have to be deep. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to send me an employee manual. It doesn't have to be deep. But if there's no, like, we just gonna jump right into it. You're not like there's no anything, then that makes me nervous. And then if I'm asking questions and it comes off like I'm bothering you,
Mm.
then that's also like a red flag for me because I'm like, so I could go to like you don't do this right, I could go to jail. Like, no, 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 no. Like I need to be able to ask you
And that's the thing.
questions.
You have to have the point where you're able to have that relationship where it's good to have an accountant where you can have them on retainer and say, I have a question. And then, I'm gonna Google it. Google might be right. Google might be wrong. So I hear a lot of tax specialists, tax accountants online on their platform saying stuff that is questionable because it may not fit you. or it's one of those things that he just put out there to get that sensation, like, oh my gosh.
Right,
But
right. It gets
it's missing,
attention,
it's missing more. There's more
and
to
then
the
everybody
story.
out there just do, and I'm like, to do what?
Uh,
Put it
like,
in my
okay,
dead,
so
look,
one of
put
the
it in my
things,
dead dog name. I don't think that's
oh my gosh,
I
yeah.
don't think that's legit. I
You
don't
know what's one of my favorite is um if you go on your family has dinner and you talk about business, then it's okay to be a write-off.
okay.
Then your family is not part of the business.
Right. Like, oh, okay. Okay.
And your family's not part of the business, and then so you want that to be a write-off. They're not a contractor, they're not an employee, they're not a board member, they're not an investor.
And I
And
mean,
yeah,
even
so you
if
gotta be
it
careful.
applies on the surface, like, if you like watch, like you said, some of these, little clips and reels that are out there, even if it applies on the surface, they're not going into the details of
No, they not.
when you go to this form, check this, by, they're not going into that level of detail on that thing, but people are making decisions based off of that. And so, then you are, again, that goes back to that half information of, if you're not working with someone that is vested in your situation, then, and knows your situation and all the details of it, then you still, you could be listening to somebody that is, quote unquote trusted, but you still are getting yourself into a bad situation because they're just putting out some blanket information. They're not sitting there saying, Coach Danny D, based on your information, this is what you should do. Because there may be something that they, again, they don't even know me when they're saying this. It's just a reel they put on social media. But there may be something in my business that they don't know about that makes what they're saying um very problematic.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons through the process when we do the onboarding. So we have a conversation, we get to know the individual. They tell us about the business and situation, and then when we see the document, sometimes the document matches what they say, sometimes it doesn't. It's missing stuff because they, I can use an example like QuickBooks or your books that there's things that we're looking at that you probably wouldn't look at. And so you think everything is fine. Maybe you have categorized certain things. One of the biggest things that I have heard recently is that a sole proprietor wants to pay themselves. And then so for whatever reason, sometimes by communication, misinformation, they put themselves on payroll. And I'm not saying that they're a S corp or a corporation, because those are the two little entities where you can put yourself on payroll. So they would say, okay, I have to put myself on payroll, and then the question is like, who told you to do that? And so that's why it's so important to have someone on your side so that they can before you do it. So that's why I said it's a partnership. So that way you don't have to feel like, oh, I got to tell you everything. No, we are partnering together. So we're trying to help you save money because now if you put yourself on payroll where you're not authorized, and when I say authorized because of the different entity that you choose,
Hmm.
now you may have to, no, not have to. Now you're paying more money than you need to because you
Right.
had to pay payroll, you had to pay payroll fees versus where you didn't have to do that. So, and that's just one instance that I have seen recently where people are putting themselves on payroll because they feel like, hey, I got to put myself on payroll because I have a business. But if you don't have a corporation, S corp or C corp, then those are the two entities where you would put yourself on payroll. And then I know nonprofit, and I will always say it depends.
Right. No, it all depends. I was about to come back around with the disclaimer. Like,
It
we just
depends.
having conversation right now. If you
Yeah,
want to
it
know about
depends.
your situation,
Right.
at the end of the show, we're gonna share some links that you can,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you can make a connection because, like you said, like, I've been to countless events, and there's somebody there that's talking about, taxes and all these different things. And it's all great information to take down, but then you either need to sign up with that person, or whomever you're working with, take that information back to them and say, "Hey, I heard this.
Mhm.
How would this benefit my business, or would this work for my business the way that it's structured?" Like, don't just go, it's kind of like, because I'm an analogy girl. It's kind of like, when you
Using
see the
that,
commercials for the huh?
they using that degree.
Yes,
We'll be so proud of you.
I know, right? But like, when you go to when you see the commercials for, like, the different, they got 5 different pill commercials come on every 10 minutes, and they say, consult with your doctor. Or when you start a new fitness plan or something like that, they'll say consult with your doctor.
Yes,
Now, that's out there, but and you could do it and people are getting results from it, but they might not have the gout, or they might not have, high blood pressure. You know what I'm saying? They may not,
it's true. It's so true. We gotta be
but
so
you
careful.
have.
We got to be so careful because we live in this time where everything is like in your face, all this information. Here you go, and and it makes you feel like, yeah, I'm on top of the world. I could just take this, and I could take this, and I could do it for myself. But why would you want to do everything for yourself? We were never created to do everything by ourselves. Do you realize as soon as we came out, we needed help, somebody to cut that cord. We needed somebody to wipe us. We needed somebody to feed us. And so as we get older, it's still the same.
Absolutely.
Go to the restaurant, we wait, somebody to serve us, somebody to cook the food. So it's just like, why would you want to take that energy doing something that you're not gifted in that or specialized in it? And it takes
Sometimes
away
don't
your
even like
gift.
it. Sometimes
Oh
don't
my gosh.
even like it, like hate it,
Yes.
but you try to
Yes.
force yourself through it.
Yes.
And I love how you brought it to the example earlier, because I'm gonna step on all the toes of my events people. The way we want to turn up our noses when people try to do they DIY balloons, but you sitting up here DIYing your taxes, your contracts, Lord Jesus. I love to watch Judge Judy, and the way that they be ripping up these people contracts when they come into the courtroom, because they just wrote them themselves or they copied somebody else's, and it don't say what you think it say.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh. So I'm gonna put a shameless little plug here. So when people think of have to get a contract, get a lawyer, and they're like, "Well, I can't afford a lawyer." So there is, you have legal show. It's one of those things that it is like having a lawyer in your pocket. They can review your contracts for you. Say if you like, okay, I'm gonna do my contract, they will review it for you and they'll say, okay, you need to change this. And then you can have them do it or you can redo it and have them look at it again. I mean, why not utilize things that as a business? And so that's one of the things you want to always think business mindset. You can't think of I'm an employee, I'm a worker. You are a business owner. If
Yes.
you want to, everybody wants to make that 10,000, that million, that trillion. They want the money to come in. Well, you have to think business mindset. Okay, how am I going to do this?
Yes.
Who am I going to partner with? How can I make this affordable right now so I can do the things that I want to do now and long term?
Right. And sometimes you just gotta bite the bullet and just invest. Like, you may not feel like you can afford it, but the reality is that you can't afford not to.
Oh yes,
You know what
yes,
I'm saying? Because
yes.
sometimes it hurts in that moment. You're just gonna be a little tight. You might be eating a little ramen for a minute. It hurts in that moment, but the reality is what it sets you up for
Mhm.
is so much greater. And so,
Yeah.
you have to sometimes just go ahead and make that investment, because you should invest to where you want to be, not to where you are now, because you're going to stay where you are now until
true.
you start investing to where you want to be and partnering with people who can take care of you. And you know, we all know what the cheaper route looks like.
Mm,
You go the cheaper route and then you wonder what happens when things start to fall apart. It wasn't, it wasn't what you wanted. You didn't pay for what you wanted.
mhm,
So we got to get that. We have to shift that mindset. Another, like, while I'm on this row and rolling over these toes, another thing, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, that I want to point out as well, is look for the result, not the price.
mhm,
I see people all the time say, I'm looking for somebody who can create a website for me for $99. And you're going to keep $99 in yourself into the thousands and still not have the website you want. What do you want? What's the end result? Look for the result. Look for who can provide the result and
yeah,
pay that person what they're worth to provide the result. Because if they provide the result for you, you're going to make that money back.
yeah, true.
So look for that result. Stop saying, "Well, I want somebody to do my taxes for $50." Okay, that's gonna be them ghost
Those prepares,
those ghost those
those
ghost
prepares.
preparers.
Uh,
And they gonna be nice and ghost when the
oh my gosh.
IRS come a knocking and saying, girl.
Oh, so many sad stories about that. I mean, that'd be another time about that. But you just got to be very careful, and that's why I say you got to ask a lot of questions because you're handing over your information to them, and then you want to look up, look them up also too. And
Yeah,
so one of the things I do is, even though we are online, we're located in North Carolina, I I have Zoom calls, Google Meets. I want to see who I'm talking to. I want to make
right,
sure that, hey, this is the person that I'm dealing with. And so we can meet one time and then we could talk over the phone, we can message and all that good stuff. But I need to know that this is a real person because I don't want to be, oh yeah, because that again, that is, we have to be liable for that.
right, right.
Goes back to, you're not just getting somebody who's just gonna, oh, give me your paper and I'll do it. And then you just, no, we gotta see everything.
No, I love that. And I mean, it's just walking in integrity.
Yeah, so you have to.
It's just walking in integrity, and it's sad how many people out there that are not, but connect with people that are. It's just that simple. Um, so in your bio, you had the words financial wellness. And I don't know that phrase. I just love it. It just sound good, like financial wellness. So how would you describe that?
Financial wellness. That's good. So, in order to stay healthy, you have to do checkups. Um, like when I was, one of the things growing up, we used to go to the dentist every 6 months, and that became the norm. And then I know not everyone does that, and so that by us doing it every 6 months, I had cavity because I loved candy when I was little. If I didn't have, and the crazy part is we used to get the checkup, my parents didn't. And
Mm-mm.
then so we get checkups, we had to get the filling, we had to get our teeth, clean and all that stuff. And so our teeth became healthy. And so that's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing as wellness. And then when you don't do those checkups, you don't educate yourself, you don't partner with the right people, you don't get things that fit you, you don't put yourself in a position where you can actually grow and learn and build your wealth, because that's all it is, building your wealth. Then you find yourself in a situation where you get sick,
Mm-hmm.
you're in lack, and then you're complaining, and then nothing works, and then you feel like, what's going on? I'm doing everything, but are you doing the necessary thing? Are you doing the check-in? It takes a lot, and being in business is not easy.
Mm-mm.
I hate to, but it's hard sometimes. But then the thing is, it doesn't have to be hard if you put yourself in position where you can be successful, and that's where the wellness comes into place.
I love that. I love that. Like the check-ins, because I think when it comes to money, um, we don't, out of sight, out of mind type of thing. Like, sometimes it's, we don't want to look at the truth of it because we feel like that's, I don't need that type of negativity in my life, right? but the reality to me is like the numbers are empowering because I know when I'm doing good, I know when I need to do better, and I can make decisions accordingly. So I absolutely love that. So I'm gonna wrap us up. I know we could go on and on. There's so much more, and um, I think I may do because there's a few of the guest experts that have come on that are in the financial field. I think I may do like maybe like a panel or something like that episode because yeah, there's so much more that we can dig into. But I want to ask the wrap up questions before we wrap up. So the first one is tell me about your favorite pair of pajamas.
It has to be cotton. All cotton. All cotton. That's it. Cotton. 100%
Comfortable.
cotton. Comfortable, no blend, just cotton.
Gotcha. I got it. I understand. Comfort first. Like I can't stand a hard pair of pajamas. Like I'm like, who made these and why? Like just burn them. Just burn them.
Yeah. I mean, if I want to be sexy, I just wear what I was born with.
That hey, never fails. Never hands down, never fails. Uh okay. The next question is my time freedom allows me to.
Oh my gosh. Travel. I don't have to say, can I take off today? All I gotta do is I gotta go. So, do we want to take off today?
Right, right. Like, look, it's feeling like nap o'clock right now. Like,
Yeah, like I need to take my nap, I need to take my lunch, stuff like that. That's the freedom right there. Don't have to ask, can I go on vacation? Can I put it in my time? You make the time.
right, right. Yeah, I love the flexibility. Like, like people have suggested other things to me. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a whole lot of being somewhere all the time on a regular basis. And like that's just not me. So yeah, I love the flexibility. Okay, so what is your best advice for someone who is seeking the profits in pajamas lifestyle?
Mm, the best advice. A good one. The best advice. Get a team.
Mm,
Team. Get a team. Surround you. You said it again. Surround yourself around people that were not where you at, but where you want to be.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's it right there.
Yeah,
And
those are two golden things. Those are two absolutely
I
golden things.
look at when I first started my business in 20, when I first started, the idea of a business was in 2005. And then it morphed into, selling, not selling, and doing all this stuff. And then I look at how I was before. I always had people around me. And then, even though I like had multiple, like, I'm gonna start a business, I'm gonna do this, and it didn't work out. I had people around me that was encouraging me, motivating me, putting those tools in place. I learned from it. And then you're learning and you're growing. And you're like, oh wow, like doing it. And it becomes easy. Now you're at the stage where you're like, man, I have really done a lot.
Right, right. Yeah, I think that that's very true. Like when you find that space where the people around you inspire you.
Mhm.
Um, you may be going on different journeys, but y'all are all going somewhere and doing something, and each person brings something beneficial to the table that, helps the group as a whole to continue to grow. So I think that that's like really cool. And then I just want to touch on that team part because a lot of times, again, as entrepreneurs, we may not believe that we can afford a staff, as far as a team is concerned. But even if you're not to the point where you have, built up where you have that person's salary, you can still have consultants. And those consultants are a part of your team.
Yep, they are a part
They
of the
are a
team.
part of your team, and they can be handling some of those tasks that, because I think sometimes people make the mistake of hiring too soon, in the sense of, I know
Mhm.
a lot of people make the mistake of waiting too long to hire, but I don't want to say to hiring too soon, but hiring the wrong positions too soon. So
Or hiring the wrong people.
the wrong people, of course, yes. But I mean, when I say positions, I mean in the sense of it's going to cost you a pretty penny to hire an internal accountant on your payroll, right? Not saying that it doesn't cost you to have a consultant, but it's a different
It is
situation. It's a
different.
different dynamic. So if there are roles that you need filled, but you're not yet to that point where you can have that in-house person, get a consultant. Get a consultant because it's going to do two things. One is going to be being handled correctly. Two, you're going to be in a position where you can free yourself up to grow that business and get to the point that you can start hiring the members of the team that you need. And maybe some of the members you're going to never need because you have that relationship with your consultant that you don't need that member.
Right.
You need somebody else. You might need that assistant, or you might need, some hands, to labor, but you know that you have somebody that's taking care of these other parts of your business and that are doing it correctly. So you don't have to always wonder, I did it, but I don't ever know if that's gonna come back and bite me in the butt later down the line. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah. So how can the audience get in touch with you? Do you have anything that you want to, share with them? If you have any promotion or anything that's going on right now in your business.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. You can reach me at chooselovesolutions.com. We do have a program called Streamline Your Business. One of the things is to help you along the way to make sure that you business is successful. It will help you lay the foundation of every business, which is taxes, because it always comes back to your taxes and your books. And so we give you the skills and the knowledge on how to manage that. And so that's one of the programs that we have is Streamline Your Business. And you can find out more information on chooselovesolutions.com.
Okay, awesome. I'm gonna make sure to put that in the show notes so that they can have access to it. Please access it.
Yes.
Please access it, y'all. I mean, the whole point of having experts come on here and share their information is so that you can, have, like, if you say, I don't know somebody that does this, now you do.
Yeah.
Now you do. Okay. And, again, I'm real funny about who I bring into the space because I want to make sure that they have that spirit of helping, that spirit of, um, really being there for, um, meeting your needs, not just, of course, it's business, we got to make money, but we want to make a difference in the process. We want to make sure that you are successful in your business. So, um, with that, I'm gonna wrap it up because, like I said, we could go.
We could go, but I gotta go.
I know, I know. I can tell. I can see the verb. I can see
I
the
gotta go. I
clues.
gotta
I
go.
can see
Like,
clues. But no, I want to thank you for being here and thank you
this
for
has been
sharing
great. Oh, this
so
has been
much.
awesome. This is awesome.
And like I said, I do think I'm gonna put together like a
We could be talking
financial.
all day long. I feel like we can. Like,
Yeah.
if I didn't have another
Yeah,
engagement,
no,
could
no,
we
definitely.
could
Because I
be
have something,
talking.
and I don't remember what time it is, but I just know it was after this. I'm like, okay, be mindful of time. But but I definitely want to have you back, and I appreciate you for being here. And like I said, guys, reach out, and make sure that you are getting this in order because we about to end this year. We about to go into another, another year. Tax season is gonna be here before we know it. make sure you're getting yourself in order. And if it's, a lot of times it's too late for the current tax season, because I know that's a busy time. But
This current season, like for 2024?
yeah, I'm just saying, like, I know
Oh,
that,
it's
like,
not too late. It's never too late. I mean, like if you need to make any adjustment, this is like the perfect time before the year is over to do it. So
okay,
it's
no,
not.
no, I didn't mean for them to make adjustments. I mean, like, sometimes connecting to somebody new, um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, that might be a challenge or whatever, but maybe not.
Yeah,
But
it should be a
but
challenge. Yeah.
but you could have everything right for 2024.
Hmm.
You could start the year clean and good, and just, not have things to stress about and worry about for the coming year. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys, I'm gonna let y'all go. We will be back next week with another episode. And thanks again for being my guest.
Great. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I hope you got some great tips to start working with ease. Want to stay connected? Follow me at Your Workflow on Instagram. For more information about building your luxury brand, register for my upcoming luxury brand workshop at CoachDanniD.com.